When I was just coming out in high school, I found a pamphlet on the counter in my church. And on the cover of that pamphlet was this wild man. And I was in a situation in which I was, struggling to survive in a very heterosexist and oppressive culture. And I saw this wild man, and I looked inside, and I saw this wild woman, Rebecca Parker. And something within me, well, I'll say God, said, these are the people who you need to meet. And I kept this pamphlet like a ticket to some other world. As I read about Star King School for the Ministry, about the life and the work of Ibrahim Baba and Rebecca Parker and all of the great scholars and religious leaders and fierce queens at Star King, I had a sense of hope that there was some sort of transcendent world in Berkeley beyond the world that I was living in, where I might someday find acceptance and joy and resonance and reflection with others. Now, it took many years later to finally get to Star King after I finished graduate school. And sadly, I arrived and Ibrahim was away the entire time that I was on campus. So I was never able to actually know Ibrahim as a professor, even though he was the person who I would credit with inspiring me to begin that journey into this new life and new way of being. I became friends with Ibrahim while I was serving in my ministry in San Francisco. And as I was leaving, I was doing some work around progressive Islam, and somehow Ibrahim caught a scent of it and started chatting me up. And we became girlfriends of sorts. Lovers of the beloved that could, speak for hours into the night about the beloved, about the spiritual path, and about struggles. And Ibrahim came to me then as a second time as a life-saving force, as I had just gone through a year of abuse and trauma. And Ibrahim came to me as someone who understood so intimately what I was going through because of the abuse and the trauma that he had been through in his life, that he was able to be a healing balm at a second point in my life. And I praise and I thank God for that, because I don't know if I would be here or where I would have been. So I accepted Ibrahim as my Sheikh. And I said, well, I'm a Unitarian Universalist, and I come out of the Christian tradition, and I study Hinduism and follow the Dharma. And I don't want to leave those things behind to become your student and to become a part of the Chisti lineage of Sufism, a lineage which emphasizes service to the most marginalized and a deep multi-religious embrace. We wear orange because it is the color that is worn in our lineage in India, that is the same color as the Buddhists wear and that Hindus wear, to show ourselves as solidarity on the path. And when I took up that lineage, of course, Ibrahim said, no, we have to embrace and celebrate all of that. And there's no reason you don't have to let something go, you can just add to. So it was quite a challenge that I took on, and I took him as my Sheikh and was blessed to have him as my Sheikh for years before his return to the beloved. And when I think about some of the core teachings that he left me with, I could probably write a few books. But one of the most important was Sufi adab, or etiquette, to learn to be in relationship with ourselves, with others, and in the world in embodied ways that teaches us a deep reverence for God and the indwelling presence within all of us. Ibrahim would always kiss everything. He always taught us to kiss everything, to kiss our bowls in gratitude to God that we have food, to kiss our cups that we have water to drink, to kiss the ground on where we kneel and pray as a way of thanksgiving and of a show of devotion for that unity, that light of love and of all of being. We had to learn to kind of get out of our heads and learn to embody rituals. And this becomes the form of Sufi adab, such that our whole life becomes a form of art and a form of devotion. And this was a revolutionary way of thinking and of living that flies in the face of so much of secular culture and colonial culture and white supremacy. One of the teachings that Baba also taught me was a deep inclusivity, whether it was his AIDS activism, bisexual advocacy, trans and genderqueer solidarity, sex worker, kink, and poly awareness, or working for indigenous sovereignty or disability activism. He taught me always to problematize and to think complexly about the intersections of oppression and liberation, spiritual and worldly. To not allow myself to sink into reductive explanations of the state of the world, but to see them in all of their complexity and to see the possibilities in all of their splendor. Ibrahim taught me celebration and play. He liked to have fun. He liked to get in trouble. He said, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. A constant refrain of his. And I would love to see all of our churches and our religious communities become places where the mantra is that this is a place where you are celebrated and others are celebrated, not merely tolerated in their complexities. He taught me to honor the ancestors, to seek guidance from those who had gone before us, and I honor him now as I reflect on his spirit and life and workings. He taught me about the sacrality of food and of the shared meal, of singing and offering praise. Sometimes he taught me tantric practices, like enjoying a diet soda with our Ramadan meal. Ibrahim can't be summed up in words. He was the kind of person who God would send to you in a moment to save your life or transform your life or help you to find a new way in life. I'm constantly renewed in my studies of his work. I constantly sit with the dissonance of knowing how white supremacy and Islamophobia and heterosexism and ableism murdered him. And I now have to live in that tension of seeing the beauty of what is possible and also recognizing the cost and the sacrifice that it took for him to pour water on so many of the hells of this world and to light flames, that they may be beacons in the heavens of this world. I offer blessing, I offer memory, and I offer praise to the one love, and to Baba, dear child of that love. Amen.